So last year I manually dug out, ripped up all of the kudzu that was slowly creeping towards my garden. And now, about a year later, I'm going to show you how that turned out. Hi, my name is Rachel and this is Auxhart Gardening. So last year when I pulled out all of that kudzu, I really didn't know if it was going to work. I had the idea that maybe if I could rip all of those giant roots out, that I could keep it from regrowing the way that it has been. So if you want to go back and watch that whole video, I can link it up here, but you can kind of see in these little clips here that really there were just vines all over the ground. We were taking this out while it was still dead and dormant, which I think was a good idea given how vigorous it can be during the summer months. And we ripped up all of these vines that were completely covering the ground and dug up all of these nodes, these roots that went, 2-3 feet straight down into the ground, sometimes kind of at an angle so they're easier to pull up. But we ripped up so many of these roots. And if you don't know what kudzu does, kudzu is a vine, and as it creeps along the ground about every 3 or 4 feet, it's going to put down another one of those tap roots. So even if you were to rip up all of the vines on the surface, you're probably not going to get rid of your kudzu because it's got that big root in the ground that's full of nutrients that it can use to pop right back up. And so I didn't do the best job documenting how this whole process went. I've cut a couple of clips from garden tours for you. You can kind of see how the kudzu is at the edge of the forest, and then there's the cleared area right there by the garden. And for most of the summer, this went really well. I was able to find the vines that were creeping towards me and cut them off before they had time to lay on the ground and set down another taproot. But at the same time, this required constant maintenance. You have to go out there, and especially in like July and August when the kudzu is really growing fast, you have to come out there every single day and check for these vines because they can grow like a foot a day at their peak so fast. So if we look at what it looks like today, it's a little hard to see what's going on because the kudzu hasn't grown back in. But you can kind of see that the dead vines stop at the forest edge, and the area that I cleared is still largely clear. It's got a bunch of dead weeds in it now, but it is free of kudzu. So the main takeaway here is that this method worked. Ripping up all of those roots, all the work I put into digging them up, it was worth it. The kudzu is now at a level where I can manage it myself, especially in the summer. I just have to come out every day and cut it back, kind of like I would have to manage other weeds in the garden. And so for me in my situation, I think that this was the best solution. I was able to remove the kudzu and I didn't have to use any chemicals, and it seems to be a lasting solution for me. However, before I leave you, I had quite a few people give me some alternate solutions as comments on that video. So a big suggestion that I got was using goats to eat it back. And I don't know what all goats do and don't eat. I know they eat a lot of stuff, and there's some stuff that they just leave behind. But regardless of that, in my situation, I can't have goats. That area is not fenced in. Plus, I rent the land, and can't really bring in goats onto rental property that easily, and especially not without a fence. Something else that was suggested to me was actually going through the effort of harvesting all of this for food. Apparently kudzu is edible, the roots are edible, the flowers are edible, and I think even the leaves are edible. A lot of times people will extract the starch from the roots and make it into a powder that they can add to things to thicken them up. But I don't know, these roots were very fibrous. I don't think that in a home kitchen I would have the tools to actually adequately process these things. Now with the flowers, I read that some people make jams out of them, and that seems kind of cool, but I'm probably not going to mess with that. So if you do have a kudzu infestation and you want to make the most of it, that could be an option for you. It could be just another harvestable around your garden, and you can manage it kind of the same way I did if there's too much of it, and you can rip out those roots and maybe do something with them. And of course, another option for you if you are finding this video and you're not a home gardener is you can use some chemicals to get rid of kudzu, but it is a huge problem to deal with, and I don't necessarily want to advocate the use of chemicals on this kind of scale. It is theoretically possible though. So unfortunately, I won't be able to give you guys a 2-year update because by this time next year, I will be at a new property. However, I hope that this 1 year at least has been helpful for you. I hope that I've given you some good data in terms of how well this method actually works. So thank you guys for watching, and until next time, I wish you happy gardening.